going to look at a very common scripture. Let's go to John chapter 5. I'll withhold my title for a second till I get to a certain point. I have a lot of little notes here. I hope they don't confuse me. John chapter 5. The heading on my Bible is the healing at Bethesda. That's not my title, but that's just the heading on my Bible. The healing at Bethesda. John chapter 5 verse 1. We'll primarily be in this one, then later on we'll shift to Romans. But after these things, verse 1, after these things, there was a feast of the Jews. There was a feast of the Jews. There was the feast of the Jews. In the Old Testament, it used to be called the feast of the Lord. The Passover of the Lord, or the feast of the Lord. But now it's degenerated to the feast of the Jews. Because they started having church without God in it. They started having feast without God in it. They started worshiping without God being involved. So it degenerated from the feast of the Lord to the feast of the Jews. So the Bible says there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there was in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool which is called in Hebrew Bethesda. And Bethesda means house of mercy, having 5 porches. Bethesda, this sheep gate was built by Eliashib. You can read that in Nehemiah chapter 3 verse 1. It talks about the building of the sheep gate in Eliashib. Then it talks about 5 porches. 5 porches. It's like a roofed corridor, so to say, where people sat. Verse 3. Now in this lay a multitude of those who were sick. A multitude of those who were sick. The King James Version says that they lay impotent folk. They lay impotent folk. Blind, lame, and withered, waiting for the moving of the waters. They were sick, they were blind, they were lame, and they were withered. You can find all those in a church.
Yes.
That's true.
You find a lot of people who are blind, they don't see spiritually. You find a lot of people who are lame, they don't walk spiritually. In fact, in the King James Version, the word lame there, they use the word halt. The word halt is an Anglo-Saxon word which means stop. So they use the word halt because of continuous stop. A lame person walks and stops. You know, they push themselves. They walk and stop. They walk and stop.
Yes.
There are people who walk just like that in the spirit realm.
Yes.
They never seem to make strides. They just walk and they stop. You see them, you don't see them. Now you see me, now you don't. You see them, you don't see them. They are here, they are never here. They are never consistent.
Yes.
They cannot walk in the spiritual. So they don't, and then they are withered. To be withered is to be dry.
Yes.
I mean, the best example of anything dry in this church is what? Where is it? The barren tree. We have the barren tree. That's a portrayal of being dry.
Yes.
When you are dry, you can't bear no fruit. No barren tree bears any fruit.
Right.
I have a plant. We have a plant in our dining room, and every time I see that it's having dry branches, I cut them off
Yeah.
and I throw them in the trash. I cut them off. That's what happens to a dry limb, a dry branch. That's what will happen to a dry believer. The Bible says that they cut off and thrown in the fire.
That's right.
Yes.
We cannot allow ourselves to be dry.
Yes, God.
We cannot allow ourselves to be dry.
Amen. Amen.
We cannot allow ourselves to be dry.
Amen.
We have to desire to drink.
Amen.
We have to desire to be nourished with the Word of God. We have to desire to drink of the Spirit, the water of the Spirit. So there are some who are withered. And then there's a scripture, I believe it's in Mark, where there's a man with a withered hand. He only had a withered hand. At least he only had one withered hand. But there are people who are withered from head to toe. From the sole of their head, from the crown of their head to the sole of their feet.
Yes.
They are withered. Everything about them is withered. Their life is withered. Their finances are withered. Their relationships are withered. Their marriages are withered. Everything about them is withered.
And that's true.
That's true.
Yes, I've been there.
Sad.
So it's a waiting of the moving of the waters. Sweetheart was preaching about water. Ankle deep, knee deep,
Yes.
loin deep. Until you immerse yourself
Amen.
into
Amen.
the presence of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Until you immerse yourself.
Amen.
Pastor Bill was just talking about having an addiction of wanting the presence of God.
Yes.
You see, a fish is not very excited
Out of water.
outside water. Nobody taught a fish to swim or to be in water. It's just that's its nature.
That's nature.
Right.
So when we're born of the Spirit of God, our nature has changed.
Yes.
Our nature is that of a spirit, and we want to be
Amen.
Yes.
in the Spirit of God,
Yes.
in the presence of God,
Amen.
Amen. Thank God for it.
waiting for the moving of the waters.
Waiting.
You see, man is vigilant. Now you see, these people here are sitting because man is vigilant to attend to his body. People spend a lot of time on a makeup mirror than they do attending to their soul.
That's true.
People spend more time shopping for nice clothes than they do for shopping for the things of their soul.
Be
Yes.
careful, be careful. Don't
Yes.
stir that up.
People rush to go see a doctor when something is wrong with their body. Then they'll rush to go see a priest or a prophet or a pastor or somebody who can minister to their spirit being.
Yeah.
We attend more to the outside than we do to the inside.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
These people are waiting for the move of water. They are not at church. They're in a place where there is a pool. Now the Bible doesn't tell us how often the water is stirred up. The Bible doesn't. There's some translation says season. So we don't know how long those seasons are. It could be weekly, it could be monthly, it could be once a year. So nobody knows. And the Bible is telling us that there were multitudes.
Yes.
There were multitudes of people sitting there waiting for the water to move.
Yeah, just get in.
So they are there. It's just a matter of chance.
Oh, Lord.
You can get healed or you don't get healed.
Yes, right.
This water had power to heal all diseases, because just from what we are seeing here, there's a variety of people with infirmities and different things going on. But man is quick. We respond quicker to attend to our physical things, and we respond quicker to attend to our spiritual things. You find more people in the hospital than you find them in church.
Yes.
That's sad.
Yeah.
For an angel of the Lord went down at certain seasons into the pool and stirred up the water. Whoever went in first after the stirring up of the water stepped in was made well. And whatever disease with which he was afflicted. The angel's assignment was to stir up the water.
Wow.
That was the angel's assignment. He had no business pulling people to get into the pool.
Right.
They had the responsibility
That's right.
to get into the pool.
Yes, Lord.
The angel did not come and feel sorry. He said because he's impotent and he can't walk to the pool, so let me lift him up and take him in the pool.
Yes.
The angel's job was just to stir up the water.
Yes.
And the responsibility was left to the sick person.
Wow.
Yes.
Yes,
Wow.
Lord.
Wow.
That's true.
And that's big.
The responsibility of a preacher is to preach the gospel. When you preach the gospel, it is left to the listeners to act
Yes.
upon it.
Yes,
Yes.
Lord.
Yes.
It is amazing how people come and are never convicted.
Yes.
That's what my sweetheart was preaching this morning.
Yes.
People come and never convicted.
Yes.
They hear the same word.
Yes. Praying over.
You teach about children playing video games and whatever. After service, go to their home, you find children playing video games. They have no conviction to change things in their homes.
Right.
So it's like there are various reasons people come to church. Some come out of guilt. It's a Sunday. If I don't go to church, they'll text me. They'll call me. They'll talk about me. They're whatever. Some men will go to church because they just want to get their wives out of their ears. If I don't go to church, my wife will be nagging.
I'm sure.
So let me just get her out of my ears go to church for an hour. Then when I come home, I can do all that I want to do.
Right.
Yes. That's true.
People attend more to their yards than
Yes.
they do to their soul issue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
You find them cleaning their yard on a Sunday. They're cleaning their yards and everything.
Yeah.
They're polishing their cars.
Yeah.
Go to the car wash right now. You find people polishing their cars.
Yeah.
And they didn't even go to church.
No.
Wow.
Help us, Jesus. That's
So the angel stirs up the water. There was power in this water.
Yeah.
Now the Bible doesn't tell us when this water attained this power or when it lost its power. But at this time, this season, this This moment there was power in that water. And he will stir up, and people, and they had to get into the water. Then it says in verse 5, and a certain man was there who had been 38 years in his sickness. 38 years in his sickness. 38 years is quite a long time. This man had been sick more than most people live. There's a lot of people who don't even reach the age of 20.
True.
Nowadays, yeah.
There's a lot of people who don't even reach the age of 40.
Yes.
People don't reach the age of 15. You know, he's been sick for longer than most people have lived. He's been sick for 38 years. Man, that's a long time to be sick.
Yes.
Now, as we read on, we realize that this man was not always like this. So something happened to him that made him to be like this. So when he's there, even his mind is regretting what he had done, whatever it is that he had done. He's missing how things used to be before he became sick. A backslider is not a happy person.
No.
I can tell you, a person who's tested the goodness of God, the Spirit of God, whom God has moved through, is not always a very happy person.
No.
There's a lot of regret and a lot of shame.
Yes.
Yeah.
They might not portray it, but when they put their head on the pillow,
Yeah.
you see, I've never really backslidden to go back into the world and do the
Right.
things I used to do in the world.
Yeah.
But I've seen myself as I've been in this pilgrimage that sometimes I backslid a little bit.
Yes. me
I just feel lazy to pray. I just
In my
feel lazy
heart,
to read my
yes.
word.
Yeah.
I just feel lazy to do things
Yes.
that will help me grow
too. Been
spiritually.
there.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, there is some backsliding, and there's a conviction that comes with it,
Yes.
and it's not a very good conviction or a joyful conviction. In fact, conviction is never joyful,
No.
but it makes you start wondering. It makes you start thinking, what made me draw back?
Yeah.
What made me backslide?
Yeah, that's a
Yes.
We've said this. You see, you can cook a live frog. Just put it in water and start warming it up.
Wow.
It's an amphibian. It's a cold-blooded animal. It starts enjoying the warmth of the water. It starts enjoying the warmth of the water. So as the water gets warmer, it's even making itself more comfortable.
Wow.
Little does it know that it's about to cook. People, when you start backsliding, you don't backslide in very long strides.
No.
It's little by little,
Yes.
Yeah.
little by little.
Yeah.
That's what
You omit one prayer. You omit 2 prayers. You omit 3 prayers. Before you know it, you're not praying.
You're not
Right.
Yeah.
You close your Bible.
Yeah.
Again, you put it away. Like I was talking on when was that Wednesday, where you said your Bible starts collecting dust. You don't even realize you haven't read your Bible. Your
Yeah.
Bible's collecting dust. You don't even realize. Dust doesn't also just come and there's dust. Dust comes in layers, slowly, slowly.
It accumulates.
As it accumulates and you realize you can even write your name on it
That's true.
because there's so much dust. But you don't see it happening.
Yeah.
So that's how people backslide. You don't see it happening.
Yes.
Verse 5, and a certain man was there who had been 38 years in his sickness. When Jesus saw him, now before I go there, let me say this. Our bodies are vehicles for our spirit and our soul.
That's true.
God gave us His bodies to move our spirit and our
Yes.
soul. Our bodies are to be physically conscious of what's going on. We have our 5 senses in our bodies.
Yes.
But when your body is very infirm, it's sick, it becomes a burden.
Yes. Yes.
The same vehicle, it's like if your car broke down on the highway. You need to get home and you need to move it somewhere. It
Yes.
becomes a burden.
Yes.
Because now you're going to pay
That's
Yeah.
to move it. You have to find a tow company. You're on the highway and you have to get home. You might be 100 miles away from home, so it becomes a burden. The same vehicle is supposed to take you home. So the same vehicle, your body can become a burden when it gets infirm.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
You want to go somewhere, you can't go anywhere because your body is not cooperating.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your body has a puncture, so to say. You can't move. It has a seized engine. You can't move.
Yeah, that's true.
When Jesus saw him laying there, he knew that he had already been a long time in that condition. And he said to him, do you wish to get well? Now, I like the rendering of the King James Version.
Yeah.
The King James Version says, wilt thou be made whole?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, God.
Wilt thou be made whole? My title is Yes, I want to be made whole.
Yes.
Yes,
Wow.
I want
Amen.
to be made whole.
Amen.
Without be made whole. That's a question that the Holy Spirit is asking all of us.
Yes, Lord.
So it's not just a matter of coming to church. It's not just a matter of calling upon the name of Jesus, but do you want to be made whole?
Yes. Yes. I
Do you
to be
want
made
to
whole.
be made whole? My title is Yes, I want to be made whole.
Amen.
We have to come to a place where we are tired of where we are.
Yes.
Yes.
Amen. Yes, Lord.
We come to a place where we need more. We want more, hungry for more.
Yes.
A baby has appetite.
Yes.
You see, a grown man can eat in the morning and run the whole day until the evening.
Yeah.
You feed the baby at 8, at 9. You feed the baby at 9, at 10. You continue. A baby has an appetite. The baby just goes on wanting to eat.
Amen.
Yes.
Give it anything in its hands, straight to the mouth.
Yes. That's true.
Anything you put in the baby's hands, straight to the mouth.
Yes.
Babies want to always eat.
Yeah.
Babies always want to intake something, to ingest something. So as babes in the spirit, we should have the appetite to always want to inject something.
Yes.
Well, it's something of God. Whether it's music, whether you're reading the Bible or you're listening to a preacher, but you should always be in a place where we are feeding our spirit, man.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, Jesus.
Where we are feeding our spirit, man.
Yes. Yes. Holy Spirit.
Do you wish
Yes.
to be made whole?
Yes, Lord.
All right. Now, we read and said there was a multitude of people sitting at this place waiting for the move. Now, Jesus goes to one person.
Get in.
Just one. Now, what I'm saying is, one day, Jesus might show up just for you.
Yes.
Yes.
So expect that anytime Jesus can come just for you.
Amen.
God will bring you a breakthrough just for you.
Yes.
There's a saying, every dog has its day.
Amen.
Right? Every dog has its day. So you can have one day will be your day.
Yes.
In a multitude, one day will be your day. Sometimes we've observed it to say, but today God is dealing with that person. God has brought a breakthrough upon that person's life. We can see there's something going on. We might not know everything, but we can tell there's a move of God upon that person.
Amen.
Yes.
So God will come just for you.
Yes. Yes.
Jesus went just for this
Yes.
man. There were a lot of other people, but just one person.
Yes.
Just
Yes.
one person.
Yes.
So believe it, that just for you.
Amen.
God can leave heaven just for you.
Yes.
Not for the whole church, just for
Yes.
you.
Yes.
Maybe on the day you got saved, you're the only person who got saved. It's possible.
Oh, yes.
I don't know. But just for you, God can leave heaven to come and attend to you.
Amen.
This is the day.
Yes.
This is the day.
Without be made whole.
Amen.
Now,
That's the question.
that's a strange question for a person who's lame. For a person who's been laying on that mat for 38 years. That's a sarcastic question.
Yeah.
True, there.
If we didn't know Jesus is speaking,
Yes.
we would even say that's a stupid question.
Right.
You know? Would you like to be made whole? What's the answer?
Yes.
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 Yeah, it needs to be.
Of course.
I want to be
That's
made-
why I'm here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm here.
Anything.
Would you like to be made whole? Yes, that's why I'm here. But he doesn't respond that way.
Yeah, I really do.
But see, Jesus is asking a question. He's asking him to know if he really wants, if he really know what he wants.
Yeah. Jesus.
If he really know what he wants.
You really don't.
Like I'm saying, people come to church, they really don't know what they want. They just come to church because it's church day.
Right.
You know, it's church day. They really don't know what they want. If they know what they want their lives to change.
Yes.
Wow.
Right? They want their life to be transformed. He's here because he wants his life to change.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's tired. Now,
Yes.
I was saying again, people don't know why they come to church. This guy is here maybe just because his wife forces him to go there. You know?
That's right.
Now, not everybody really wants to be made whole.
That's
No.
true.
Some people think, man, if I'm be made whole, I'll lose my disability check.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
If I be made whole, I'll have no excuse to be idle.
Yes.
If I be made whole, I'll be more involved in church.
Yes.
To whom much is given, much is required. So if I'm given if I'm given this healing, then I have to start praying for other people.
Yes.
I'd rather be the one always receiving prayer, always asking for prayer. I never pray for anybody. Please pray for me. Please deliver me. Please do this. You've been in church 50 years and you never prayed for anybody else. Would you like to be made whole?
Yes.
Not everybody is excited about being made whole. Because being made whole will come with responsibility.
Yes. Wow.
It will come with some responsibility.
Wow.
That's really
It's a rhetorical question.
Yes.
But Jesus wants to know if he knows what he wants.
Yes.
Jesus, in John chapter 9, I believe, he asked the blind man, what do you want me to do for you? I want to see. The blind man would have asked for a job, would have asked for a wife, would have asked for anything. Jesus would have given him what he wanted.
Yeah.
I want to see.
Amen.
So Jesus will ask you, what do you want?
Yeah.
Yes.
What are we seeking God for?
Yes, Lord.
Yeah.
People seek God for various reasons. Some people seek God for a job. They'll be in church all praying for the job and the job will show up. And then they forget about God.
No.
Yeah.
Now they start worshiping the job.
Not
That's
him.
good.
Yes.
People come to church because they want a husband or a wife.
Right.
Well, we pray for a husband, we pray for a wife, they find one.
Yeah.
And they cease coming to church.
Yeah.
Now they start worshiping their spouse.
Wow.
Yes.
What is it that we've come to Christ
How
for?
sad.
That's
Yes.
right.
See, what is that we come to Christ for? We come to Christ for Christ.
Yeah.
Amen.
We come to Christ for Christ.
Yes.
You know, we come to Christ for Christ. And then when we get in a relationship with Christ, we have to start changing.
Yes.
See, when we got married, there are certain things, habits that we start changing. Or if I do this, my wife doesn't like it, so I don't do it no more.
Yes.
You know, then we start finding middle ground. We start coming to a place where there's alteration in our lives.
Amen.
Yes.
All right.
That we accept certain conveniences. She was talking about being anointed is an inconveniencing thing to get the anointing.
Yes.
In a way, you have to stop doing certain things.
Yes.
Amen.
You have to stop going to certain places.
Yeah.
You have to stop hanging around with certain people.
Yes.
Yes. I know.
There's a lot of people that you have to break relationships with
Yes.
Yes.
if you really want to get anointed.
Yes.
You have to hang out with people who have the same interest as you have.
Yes.
Amen.
Otherwise, you won't go far.
Jesus.
Verse 7, the sick man answered him, Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. I have no man. I have no man. I have no man. His main focus is on someone helping him.
Yes.
I have no man. Now, he's been here for a while.
A while.
He's been in this condition for 38 years. Now, let's just assume. The Bible doesn't tell us how long he's been there. So let's just assume. Out of 38 years, maybe he's been going there for 10 years. Maybe. In those 10 years, he's probably made friends who've been going to do the same thing. Now, his excuse is, somebody gets in before I get in.
Yeah.
But you would think, if that was a problem, why not sit closer to the pool?
That's right. Jump in.
No, he's probably, like most people,
Oh,
he's late. By the time he gets there,
that's good.
everybody, people have already filled up in front here.
There you go.
You see, there's no space for him to go because he didn't get there on time. Probably doesn't even want to be there.
Yeah.
She was talking about posture. You look at people's posture during deliverance. You can tell that person is not interested in being delivered. That person, they'll ask you for deliverance when you start ministering to them. They put their legs like this. You know, how do you cough here like this? And the bucket is right here. Oh, one day we were praying for one lady and she's just there, just praying with her.
I think that's-
Wow.
You can tell this person is not really interested in what is going on.
Right?
Yet they say they want it, but they're not being involved in wanting to heal.
Yeah.
Yes.
You see, God has made provision for deliverance,
Amen.
but we have to take it. You see, there's somewhere in the Bible, I can't remember, I was trying to remember this scripture, I think it's in the Proverbs, where it says, a lazy man cannot even bring food to his mouth.
Wow.
That's true. Yes.
You can feed, you give the person food, but he cannot even take that food to bring it to his mouth.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
There's provision for healing,
Yes.
but people don't want to
Be healed.
embrace it. They don't want to they talk about wanting to be healed, but they really don't want to participate. You participate in this thing. Faith comes by hearing, right?
Yes.
Faith comes by hearing. The word they use there, hearing, is a continuous tense.
Oh, yes.
Faith comes by hearing, not faith comes by heard. Faith comes by hearing.
Yes.
You continue hearing the word of God, and you build your faith. Faith comes by hearing, and hearing the word of God. So for your faith to grow, you have to participate. You have to involve your ears. You have to involve your ears and your spirit man to receive what the Bible, what the word of God is speaking. Faith comes by hearing,
Amen.
not faith comes by heard.
Yes.
Faith comes by hearing. It's a continuous
Amen.
So it's a continuous tense. It's something you continuously do so that you can grow.
Yeah. Yes.
He's been coming to the pool for a while.
Yes.
He's probably made friends. That the problem is he's made the same kind of friends
Right.
as he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. I did.
Oh,
He's made the same kind of friends as he is.
Yeah.
So the friends that he has cannot help him.
That's true. Yes. Yes.
That's
The friends that he have are also in need of healing.
bad advice.
Yes.
So they see the water is stirring up. They just look. Hey John, look, the water is stirring up. Ah man, by the time we get over there, I probably won't even wake. Let's just wait for the next season. They continue talking.
Oh Lord.
They continue talking. So he goes there because of the friendships.
Yeah.
There are people who go to church just because of friendships.
True.
Yeah.
They're really not interested in growing in things of God. They're just there because of friendships. That's why they can hang out. That's why you find teenagers in church. They're in the back of the seats just playing on their phones.
Yeah.
That's just a place they can go to hang out. They're more excited when church is over because now they can go do what they want to do than being in church.
Yeah.
that's the truth.
The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. I have no man." The only way he thought of healing is through is by the water. That's the kind of healing he knows. He's probably heard of Jesus Christ, but he had never met Jesus Christ. He had never gone to Jesus' revivals. He has probably heard of the name Jesus Christ who heals people. So even when Jesus Christ comes to talk to him, he doesn't even recognize who he's talking to. But the mercy of God. You see, God has done things. God did things for us even before we knew him.
Yes.
God protected us even before we knew him. The Bible said he loved us before we loved him.
Yes.
See, well, most of us would have been dead
Yes.
in our sins and trespasses if it wasn't for the grace of God that met us in our heathen days, that protected us from people, that protected us from activities, from habits, that protected us. God's grace before we even knew him, before we didn't even want him. When people when the so-called born-again Christians came to minister unto us, we didn't want to hear it.
No.
No.
I didn't.
I didn't want to hear it. Don't be convicting me about my sin. I love my sin. I like doing what I like to do.
Yeah.
But God's grace and God's mercy, God reached down to us even when we didn't know him.
That's right.
Yes.
The Bible says when we were in our sins and sins and trespasses,
Yes.
God died for us.
Yes.
In our iniquities, God died for us.
Yes.
This man doesn't know Jesus Christ, but Jesus Christ comes to him.
Yes.
God came to us before we called upon his name.
Yes. He sure did.
He knew our name before you knew him.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Oh, we should be thankful
Amen.
to the grace of God. We should be thankful to the mercy of God. We should be thankful. We should not take this salvation thing for granted.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
There's people going into hell right now.
Yes.
Flocks of people going into hell right now. This is a privileged thing to be a child of the King.
Yes.
Yes.
We've been given responsibility.
Yes.
In 2 Kings, we're talking about methods of healing. Methods of healing. In second Kings, let's go to 2 Kings. Let's look at this man called 2 Kings chapter 5. We're just in chapter 5. 2 Kings chapter 5. Verse 1. Now Naaman, his name means pleasantness. Now Naaman, captain of the army of the king of Aram or Syria, was a great man with his master and highly respected, because by him the Lord had given victory to Aram. The man was also a valiant warrior, but he was a leper. But he was a leper. But he was a leper. I think sometimes God will give us a lot of things, but He will leave a little thing. We will not all have everything.
No.
No.
What is the but in your situation, in your life?
Right.
He's a good pastor, but he's a good husband, but she's a good wife, but she's a good teacher, but she's a good friend, but there's always that but.
Definitely.
So what is a but in your life? What is a but in my life?
Help me, Jesus.
That little but will cause us to seek God.
Yes.
God lives out that little but so
Yes,
that we
Lord
can
Jesus.
seek God.
Yes. Yes.
So that we can have that little but filled.
Yes.
And once that little but is filled, to realize there's another but
Yes.
that needs to be filled.
Yes.
So we continue seeking God.
Thank you, Lord.
So
Yes.
Naaman is a valiant warrior. He says even God himself, God used him. So even when they defeated the Israelites, God used him. Because you see, God often used the enemy, the neighbors of Israel, to afflict Israel when they were in sin.
Yes.
Yes.
So he empowers the enemies. He empowers the enemies to afflict his people. That can happen in your life. That can happen in my life.
Yeah, it happens.
Yes.
In the Old Testament, God dealt with physical things. He sent warriors physically.
Yeah.
In the New Testament, it's
It's
spiritual things.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Spiritual warfare.
Yep.
But he was a leper. He was a leper. Now the Arameans had gone out in bands and had taken captive a little girl from the land of Israel. And she waited on Naaman's wife. And she said to her mistress, I wish that my master were with a prophet who is in Samaria. Then he would cure him of his leprosy. Now this is a young girl who was caught as they invaded Israel. She was a captive, but she was not bitter. She was not bitter.
Wow.
She loved her bosses, so to say. She had a desire to see. She had a desire to see her master healed. She had a desire to see her master well.
Yeah.
You see, she's not holding grudges.
Yeah.
You know, grudges weigh you down.
Yes.
Grudges slow you down.
Been there.
Yes.
She's not holding grudges. So the Bible says, give your enemy something to eat and
Yes.
something to drink, so that you
Yes,
can heap
Lord.
coals of fire.
Help me,
You
Jesus.
can heap coals of fire
Yes.
on their head.
Help me, Lord.
But don't let that be the motivation. Don't let that be the motivation. And boast that you're being scriptural. Love your enemies. Because God says that we love our enemies. That is not easy to do. To love your enemy.
No.
It's not easy to love people who are persecuting you.
That's right.
It's not easy to love people who are stealing from you. It's not easy to love people who have no intentions of doing good to you.
Right. It's supernatural.
Imagine Jesus Christ is hanging on the cross and he's praying, forgive them, for they don't know what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some of us will be saying, you will see when I come back in 3 days. We will see what happens when I come back in 3 days. I'll be resurrected in 3 days. And when I come back, forgive them, for they know not
Yes,
what they
Lord.
do.
Help me, Jesus.
Oh yeah.
Forgiveness. We need to forgive one another.
Yes.
Forgiveness attracts insomnia.
Yes.
I'm married, I know. I mean, unforgiveness attracts insomnia. I'm married, I know.
That's funny.
I have to work on it.
Yes. Help us,
I
Jesus.
have to check myself.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just let this thing go.
Amen.
You see, there has to be tolerance
Yes.
for peace to prevail in the home.
Amen.
Because if I'm not forgiving her, she's not forgiving me.
Yes. the
You walk in our house to think it's Afghanistan. Right? Because everybody's throwing stuff at everyone. So there'll be holes in the walls, broken TVs, broken furniture, shoes are everywhere because everybody's using them as projectiles. But when we forgive one another, tranquility prevails in our home.
Amen.
That wasn't part of my sermon, but I was
But
That was extra. Now, what's his name? Naaman goes, and his boss gives him a letter to take to the king of Israel. Now, the king of Israel has no anointing to heal this man, but he interprets the letter that it's him who's supposed to heal this man. So he tears his clothes. In those days when they're angry, they tore their clothes.
Yes.
Man, they had a lot of clothes to wear, to tear. They had a lot of clothes to waste. So they tore his clothes.
they did.
But when the man of God heard, in verse 8 says, and it happened when Elisha, the man of God, heard that the king of Israel had torn his clothes, that he sent word to the king saying, why have you torn your clothes? Now let him come to me, and he shall know that there is a prophet in Israel.
Wow.
He shall know that there is a prophet in Israel. He went to Israel to go meet this prophet. Now Naaman came with his horses and his chariots and stood at the doorway of the house of Elisha. Now before I continue, I think I skipped it. It says he had carried some offering. He had carried 10 talents of silver. He had carried 6,000 pieces of gold and 10 changes of raiment, changes of clothing.
Wow.
So he had carried an offering to go give this man of God. Naaman was a rich man. So within going to church, he was going to church with a lot of offering.
Right.
Sometimes people think you can bribe God.
Very true.
Huh? Yeah.
Sometimes people think because I put so much money in the offering, God will give me favors.
Yeah.
But
Right.
God is not broke.
Nope.
No, he's not.
God is not really looking for anybody's offering in that sense
Right.
to appease Him. He's not appeased by our money. The money is just a test of your heart.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Elisha sent a messenger to him saying, go and wash in the Jordan 7 times, and your flesh shall be restored to you, and you shall be clean. Go and wash 7 times. It sounds like an easy thing to do. You pick up that bucket, and when I call out demons, start coughing.
Yeah.
It sounds like an easy thing to do, but not everybody is willing to participate. Naaman didn't like.
No.
He didn't like the method of healing
Oh, he did.
that the man of God had prescribed.
Yeah.
wow.
We drink bitter medication that the pharmacist prescribes. Medication that you even
Yeah.
is so bitter, but we'll take
That's
it.
true.
It's better when we say come here, we pray for you or to deliver you. And now I don't want that. I'll just go to the pharmacy.
They don't come when soon.
But Naaman was furious.
Yeah.
I've seen people come to church and walk out furious
Oh, yes.
because they didn't love the message that was preached.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we stayed too long.
Yes.
We went to the club. There was a time there was a curfew in Zambia. So when the curfew would run from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. So what the clubs did is they just opened up their doors before 6. Everybody goes in, they close the doors at 6. So you're in the club from 6 in the evening to 6 in the morning. That's because the curfew, if you're on the streets, you're caught on the streets, they take you to jail.
Wow.
Right? So to stay out of the streets, just get in the club.
That was a good
So you get in the club at 5:30, 6 o'clock they close the doors, catch it? So you're in the club from 6 to 6. Nobody complained that we're in the club for 12 hours.
Amen.
Nobody complained that we're in the club in a noisy place for so long. We were excited that we're in that place for so long. In fact, we were excited that we were even there 4 hours earlier because most of the time clubs open at 10. But we were there 4 hours earlier. We had extra 4 hours. The price was the same. The beer price was the same. Nothing changed, but we had extra 4 hours.
Wow.
Wow.
Good.
But we complain when church is
Wow.
too long.
Yeah.
Yes.
Goodness.
That's true. Yes.
We want church to be an hour. The
Yes.
reason our minds and our hearts, people's hearts and minds are outside
Yes.
of things of God. They have no desire
Right.
to create relationships with the body of Christ.
Yeah.
Life.
They don't. So people will be sitting in here and their heathen friends are waiting outside. So they'll be in church and they're texting, I've come to pick you up.
Yes. Yes.
It happens. It happens. They'll be texting. My car's come. So before church service is over, you see them pack their stuff, they're out. If you walk out there, you see their heathen friends are sitting outside waiting for them.
Yeah.
But Naaman was furious. Naaman was furious. He went there to get healed. and he was told on what to do, and he was furious.
Yeah, I didn't want
He
to.
didn't like the method
No.
of getting healed. So this is what Naaman said. But behold, I thought. Be careful what you think.
Yeah.
Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God. I thought, and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Naaman thought he had a preconceived idea on how church service should go for him.
Wow.
For him. Now, the man of God did not even bother to go out and meet him. Naaman is used to seeing people bow down to him.
Wow.
He's used to seeing people, oh, Naaman is coming, they make way for him.
Yeah.
He's used to having servants around. He's using to have soldiers around. In
Yeah.
fact, the Bible tells us, I think I skipped it, he went there with a multitude of people.
Yes.
He took an entourage.
Yeah.
Yes.
He was an honorable man.
Amen.
But this man of God did not give him honor. I often say this, worldly honor should not be brought into the kingdom of God.
No.
Worldly honor should not be brought into the kingdom of
Amen.
God. Worldly honor is worldly honor.
Yes.
It should not be accepted in the kingdom of God. So a person who's just come out of the world with the honors they had, we shouldn't hold them at a higher pedestal.
That's right.
They should also be at the foot of the cross, where we all started.
Yes.
We all started at the foot of the cross,
Yes.
and we are growing.
Yes.
Yes.
God.
I'm not saying we have grown. We are growing.
Yes.
We are growing. We will not stop growing.
Amen.
No.
Thank you.
We will not stop growing.
Thank God.
Naaman didn't like the method. Naaman didn't like that he wasn't even met.
That's true.
The man of God didn't even bother
Yep.
to come out.
Nope. They don't even bother.
But he sent his servant. Now, I've seen this even happen even in this church. Sometimes Pastor B will ask me and say, take so and so and pray for them. Then when we go in a place to pray for them, they don't really receive from me.
Right.
Yeah.
They came with a preconceived mind that they want Pastor Bill to pray for them. So me, the servant, they will not receive. They will not receive.
True.
But they miss out on the little anointing that I have. So he sent a servant. Behold, I thought he will surely come out to me and stand and call on the name of the Lord his God, and wave his hand over the place and cure the leper. Are not Abana and Parfa, the rivers of Damascus, better than all the waters of Israel? Could I not wash in them and be clean? So he turned and went away in a rage.
Yes.
I don't want to go to that Pentecostal church again. I'd rather go to the Catholics or the Baptists. I'd rather go to the Methodists. Let me just go join the Mormons. Besides, the Mormons can even build me a house. Let me just go and do this. Let me just go and do that. I no longer like this method of preaching at that church. I no longer like the method of deliverance at that church. I don't like the method of dancing at that church. They make me sweat. They keep running around. I don't like this and I don't like that. The Bible says he turned and went away in a rage. Now he compares, he says, and Abana and Parfa, whatever they pronounce that word, rivers better than the rivers of Damascus.
Yeah.
Now you see, the Jordan River, we know that the Jordan River has had miracles. The Jordan River parted for the Israelites to go
Yes.
through.
Right.
It's been a recipient of miracles. We know that Elisha and Elijah parted the Jordan River. When Elijah and Elisha were going before Elijah was taken away, he hit the water and it parted and they crossed. And when Elisha was coming back, he did the same thing and it opened and he crossed. So we know that there's been miracles on the Jordan River. But him being a foreigner, he probably did not understand. So the man of God knew that there was something about the Jordan River.
Yeah.
Amen.
There was something about the Jordan River. Then also, it couldn't even be that. It just probably was just testing his obedience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sometimes God will just test our obedience.
True.
Yes.
Pastor Brian put $100 in the offering. I bind you, devil.
Yeah. Right.
Because I already gave my tithes.
Yeah.
So I should also give another $100. But it just could be just a test
Yes.
that God has brought.
Yeah.
God might be testing you in something different.
Yes.
Something might not be money, something small, something big, whatever it is, but it could just be a test of your obedience.
Yes.
I've had people testify, say I gave my last money, and then when I walked around the corner or I met so and so, he gave me some more money, more than what I had. I've had people testify in such scenarios. So these things can happen. So God could just be testing us. So here probably Naaman is just being tested.
Yes.
He's just being tested to see his obedience and not whatever. So he turned and went in a rage. Then his servants came near and spoke to him and said, "My father, had the prophet told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean?"
Yeah.
Now, wash and be clean. Now, to dip yourself in the river, what it means is he has to unclothe himself.
Yes.
Wow.
To unclothe yourself is to expose yourself.
Yes.
You cannot go in the river with all the robes that they used to wear.
Right.
You have to destroy. You have to destroy. He has to take off his clothes and probably just be left with his underwear.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's be real.
Exposure.
Yes. Help us, Lord.
People refuse to cough when we're doing deliverance because they don't want to be exposed.
Wow.
I often say, if you want to be healed, just be vulnerable.
Yes.
Deliverance, just be vulnerable. It doesn't matter what people say. Just be vulnerable. Because when you walk out of here, you walk out feeling better. You walk out living better. It's okay if they start talking about you. Oh, she had the last devil. It's okay. She had. It's
Yeah.
gone. You no longer have it. It's better going away not having it than feeling ashamed that people talk about you.
That's true. It doesn't matter.
People go to the hospitals.
Yeah.
You see there's a big sign which says sexually transmitted diseases. And they walk that up.
Yeah. It's true.
Right?
Yes.
Sexually transmitted diseases this way. And they have a big file.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
They are being exposed. But they're not ashamed because they want to be cured.
Yeah.
Okay. But when we come to things of God, we all want to button up our clothes and not want to be exposed.
Yes.
So Naaman is told to go into the river. There's going to be some exposure. He doesn't want to be exposed.
Wow.
He's a leper. So he's ashamed of being exposed. But you see, Naaman also had people of good counsel. That's what I was saying. The lame man, we'll go back to chapter 5 of John. But the lame man who was sitting at the pool didn't have right counsel. He didn't have right people to help him. It is important who we hang around with.
Yes.
The Bible says that bad company corrupts morals.
Yes.
Bad company corrupts morals.
Yeah.
Behaviors transfer.
Yes.
Behaviors transfer.
Yes.
If you hang around a person who has no good behavior, it won't be too long before you start having the same
Yes.
bad behavior.
Yes. Yes.
We see people who've backslidden in here. They start hanging around with people who have no interest in things of God, who have backslidden, and they keep texting each other, before you know it, they also follow.
Yeah.
Because bad behavior transfers.
Yeah.
If you hang around with an angry person, the Bible says, you also be like him.
That's
Yes.
right. That's right.
Yes.
So the companies hang around with, give him sound counsel. But boss, just dip it. Just dip in the river.
Yeah.
If it works, it works. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But at least let's try. We've come all this way. We've come all this way. And in those days, there had no highways. So they were in the dust. We've come all this way with all this dust. Probably they traveled for days before they even got there. We've come all this way. Why should we just go back? Let's just try this thing.
Amen.
Yes.
Let's just try this thing.
Amen.
So you drive all the way from out of state, you come here, we tell you cough in the bucket and you refuse and you drive back. What a waste of gas, a waste of time. It's a waste of gas and a waste of time.
That's true.
Then his servant came near. They came near and spoke to him and said, "My father, had the prophet told you to do some great thing, would you not have done it? How much more then when he says to you, wash and be clean? Wash and be clean." So he went down and dipped himself 7 times in the Jordan, according to the word of the man of God. It had to be 7 times.
Wow.
Not 5 times. Not 6.5 times. It had to be 7 times. Obedience.
Yes.
Obedience. If God says go left, go left.
Yes.
If God says go west, go west. Don't go northwest.
Help us, Lord. Amen. Help us, Lord.
That's true.
If He says go south, go south.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Don't go southeast.
Help us, Lord. Yes. Help.
Amen. Amen.
Help us.
Amen.
obedience, it had to be 7 times.
Yeah.
So obviously there's somebody counting.
God.
So I don't know how he did it. I don't know if he had to dip and then walk out to the shore and come back and dip and walk out to the shore, or you just dip and come up and dip and come up. I don't know how it happened, but it had to be 7 times.
Yeah.
His flesh, according to the word of the man of God, according to the word of the man of God, and his flesh was restored like the flesh of a little child,
Amen.
and he was clean.
That's awesome.
His flesh was restored, just like a flesh of a little child. In fact, I think the King James Version said his flesh came back to him. His flesh came back to him. It's like the story of the prodigal son. It says he came back to himself. When he came back to himself. So here we see this man did not like the method of healing.
No.
He did not like the method of preaching. He did not like the method of how the man of God does things. I tell people, when you join a church, you're not just joining a congregation. What you're saying, subconsciously, what you're saying when you join a church is that you are submitting yourself to the leadership of that church.
Yes.
What you're saying is you'll be obedient to the
Yes,
instructions
Lord.
of the leadership
Yes,
of that church. So you're not just going to join a group of people.
Yes.
That's what it means. So people come to church and then when you correct them, they get upset and they leave.
Yes.
Because they thought they were just coming to join a group of people.
Yeah.
Yes.
So when you say, oh, I'm going to be a member of First Love Ministries, what you're saying is I'm going to subject myself.
Yes, Lord.
Yes.
I'm going to honor the leadership
Amen.
of that church.
Yes,
Amen.
So if they tell me what to do, I will do it.
Yes, God.
Mary's mother, whatever he tells you to do it.
Amen.
Whatever he tells you to do it. Some things don't make sense until afterwards.
Yes.
Filling those buckets, those jars with water did not make sense until somebody sipped it.
Amen.
So we do things by faith. So when we join a congregation, whatever congregation you join, what you're saying is the leadership of that church will lead me.
Yes.
I'm going to subject. So whether they rebuke you, they correct you, you stay there.
Yes,
That's what it
Amen.
means. You stay there.
Yes.
Amen.
It's amazing how people say, oh, God told me to join. First they come 1 week, second week, oh, the Lord has led me to join this congregation. Oh, you people, oh, the Lord, oh, the Lord, oh, the Lord. Then after a while say, can we talk to you, brother and sister? Oh, this ABC, D, E, F, G, whatever. If we can change this and change that. They leave out of that office, never see them again.
Yes.
Yeah.
They refuse correction.
Yeah.
They refuse correction. They have their own thoughts of wanting to do things. They are rebels
Yeah.
in their soul.
Yes.
See it right here.
That's true.
Let's go back to John chapter 5.
Every church. Sad. They miss out.
Yeah.
The sick man answered, verse 7. The sick man answered, Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool. Hey, Don.
Yes.
Welcome. Good to see you, man. The sick man answered, Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming upon another steps down before me. Verse 8. Jesus said to him, Arise, take up your pallet, take up your mat, and walk.
Yes.
Arise, take up your mat, and walk. Now that also doesn't seem like a reasonable request for a person who's been on sitting on this mat for 38 years.
Right.
But Jesus says, take up your mat and walk. Now Jesus did not say, let me help you and take you to the pool.
No.
Jesus says, take up your mat and walk.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you, Jesus.
The proof of our spiritual cure is the rising and walking.
Yeah.
Yes,
Amen.
The proof of our spiritual cure
Wow, that's
is in rising and walking.
Yes. It's God.
Is in rising and walking.
Yeah.
Not to be slumbered in the spiritual. Not to be asleep in the spiritual. Is to rising and walking. The Bible says walk in the spirit.
Yes.
Walking, when you're walking, you'll not be in the same place.
Right.
When you're walking, there'll be different scenarios that you will see. You cannot get to your home without walking.
Yes.
Well, in the sense what I'm talking about, of course you drive from here, but you know what I mean. When you park your car outside, you have to walk into your home. You will not miraculously transfer from your car into your home. You will have to take some strides. You are going to walk, and when you walk, when the Bible says walk, you're going to walk and you're going to, if I'm going to walk from here to the shed back there, there's various things that I'm going to meet in the middle here.
Yeah.
Various situations. I might meet people or whatever, but there's certain things that will be different. You will not be the same when you continue walking. It is the way we live our lives. In other words, it says, live your life in the Spirit. Walk in the Spirit is live your life in the Spirit. So the evidence of a person's soul being cured is the rising up and walking.
Yes.
Amen.
Rise up and walk.
Amen.
Pick up your mat and go. Pick up your mat and walk. He did not think in his mind he could do this could come to him.
Yes.
Now, then the Bible continues, says, now it was the Sabbath on that day.
Wow.
It was a Sabbath on that day. Therefore the Jews were saying to him, sorry, I think I missed something. Let me verse 9. Let me read verse 9. And immediately the man became well and took up his pallet and began to walk. Immediately the man became well. He took up his pallet and began to walk. Immediately the man became well. He took up his pallet and he began to walk.
There it is.
He could have been reasoning here. What has happened to him? He could have been doubting what has happened to him. He started walking. He started going away from this place. So in verse 10 says, therefore the Jews, now it was a Sabbath on that day. Therefore the Jews were saying to him, who was saying to him was cured, it is the Sabbath, and it is not permissible for you to carry your pallet. Now in Jeremiah 17:21, it talks about forbidding people to carry a burden into Jerusalem on the Sabbath day. Now we should also understand, see, when we're reading the New Testament of the Bible, we are actually reading things that are happening in the Old Testaments. They're still in the Old Testament.
Yes. Yes.
They have not really entered into the New Testament. They're still in the Old Testament. So the Bible says that Jesus Christ, born of a woman, born under the law.
Yes.
So it's still under the law. So Jesus is transitioning people's thinking. So he tells this man on the Sabbath, and Jesus understood what will happen on the Sabbath. Jesus understood that if this man walks with a pallet around town, people will start persecuting him. In other words, what Jesus said, he's given this man something. He wants to see if he can stand up for what he believes.
Yeah.
Walking with a pallet on a Sabbath will bring persecution.
Yes.
So if persecution comes your way, are you going to withstand it?
Yes, Lord.
Are you going to withstand it? In one of the soils of the seeds in Matthew chapter 13, it says when persecution comes, when persecution comes, people fall away. Persecution comes, people fall away.
That's true.
People in the Middle East who are becoming Christians are persecuted. People are cutting off heads there for talking about Jesus Christ. We are a Muslim and you become a Christian, you might be killed.
Yes.
That's right.
Here we are even afraid just to carry our Bibles because our neighbors will say we are Christians.
Wow.
Just a little persecution. The Bible says those who live godly in Christ shall be persecuted. A measure of persecution will come. So he tells him to carry this pallet. And he knows that wherever he will go, people are going to persecute him. But it is also a way of him testifying what has just happened to him. Because people are going to ask. People are going to be curious. He says, but he answered them, he who made me well was the one who said to me, take up your pallet and walk. He who made me well.
Amen.
So Jesus made him well and he gave him an instruction. Now this man would listen more to a person who healed him than just a law written thousands of years ago that did not help him. Jesus gives him an instruction and he follows that instruction despite on what might happen to him. They ask him, who is this man who said to you, take up your pallet and walk? But he who was healed did not know who it was. For Jesus had slipped away while there was a crowd in that place. Now Jesus did not wait to talk to this man. So while the man was bent over folding his mat, Jesus slipped away.
Yeah.
Maybe he didn't want to create commotion. Because obviously everybody has seen him sitting there for a while. Suddenly he stands up. So obviously everybody will turn around and start asking, man, what happened to you? How did this happen? Who did this to you? So if they said, oh, it's this guy who did here, everybody would be asking for healing.
Yes.
But before there was commotion and problems, he slips away. Now, he just tells them to say, the man who made me well. The man who made me well. They're not even interested in his healing. They're more disdained at his carrying the mat on the Sabbath.
Yes.
In John chapter 9, the blind man, Jesus healed the blind man. Right? And the leadership of the temple, or the Jews, started persecuting him. They started bringing him the Sanhedrin. They started setting the court, asking him if he was actually blind. He was blind for 40 years. He was born blind for 40 years. They actually started persecuting him. They were not disinterested in the miracle of him seeing. They are not interested in the miracle of him walking. A man has been slumped on that mat for 38 years. They're not interested in his miracle.
Wow.
They're disdained in him carrying a mat. That's what religion will do to you. That's what religion will do to you. Religion doesn't care if God is giving you a breakthrough. You're making noise in this place. Just shut up and sit down.
Wow.
That's true.
Religion will tell you we don't care what God has done for you. Just sit in there and be obedient and listen to what we're going to preach. So you will not celebrate the way you want to celebrate because you're disturbing.
That's crazy.
You're exposing people.
Yeah.
They're not interested in the miracle. They're interested in keeping the law.
Wow.
They're interested in keeping the law. But he who was healed did not know who it was. For Jesus had slipped away while there was a crowd. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, behold, you have become well. Behold, you have become well. Do not sin anymore, so that nothing worse may befall you.
Yes.
So now we know that what had happened to this man is sin.
Yes.
He's being sick, he's being lame, he's being crippled was a consequence of sin. The Bible does not tell us what exactly he did. The Bible says that the wages of sin is death. Sickness is a measure of death.
Yes, God.
Yes. Certainly is.
The wages of sin is death. That's always been the minimum wage. It has never changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
You hear people crying for raising of the minimum wage. It's always, that has been the minimum wage. The wages of sin is death. So the man was crippled. That's a measure of death. Now sin. So now let's look at sin. We all sin.
Yes, Lord. Help
But
us.
there are different measures to sin.
Yes.
Okay? The sin of the unbeliever. Now I've heard Christians, preachers say, I'm a sinner saved by grace. Now I say no, I'm not a sinner saved by grace. I'm a saint
Amen.
who will occasionally sin.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes.
I'm not bent to sin.
Amen.
I don't wake up thinking on how I'm going to sin.
Yeah. Right.
When I'm meditating on how I can please God.
Yes.
How I can live a righteous life.
Yes.
Because now I'm a saint.
Yes.
I might not be perfect in your eyes, but I'm a saint.
Yes.
When I was a sinner, I'll be laid in my bed and I'm thinking where I'm going to find the coldest beers, the ugliest women. Whatever it is that it is, I'm going to go to a place where I'm going to sin. That was my thinking. That's how I thought. Who I'm going to cook, who I'm going to get money from. Who can I call that I can have money to go drink, to go finance my sinful nature. Because I was a sinner. I am no longer a sinner. I am a saint. I am a saint. Saved by the grace of God. So don't you go around saying, oh, I'm a sinner saved by grace. No, you are a saint if you are saved. You are a saint who used to be a sinner. You used to be a sinner. That will change how you perceive yourself.
Yeah.
So when you sin, you'll be more convicted.
Yes, God.
Because it's no longer your nature.
Yes.
Sin is so contrary to the nature of God. And we are children of God. We are the nature of God. We are the nature of God. We are born again of the Spirit. We have to understand that. We are born again of the Spirit. We cannot walk in sin. We walk in righteousness. We walk in righteousness. Holy Spirit. So your thinking is to do the things of God. How am I going to please God today? How am I going to avoid my sinful friends?
Yes.
That because we are saved doesn't mean we don't have unsaved people in our lives. We have unsaved co-workers, unsaved friends. We have unsaved family members.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how am I going to avoid that situation in a righteous way?
Yes.
In my heathen days, they invite you where there's beer. You don't even think twice.
Oh no.
You are there before the gates are open. You are there, the party is starting at 1, you're there at 12:30. And I remember in my heathen days when we used to go for weddings, I always want being a heathen. You know, let's say the wedding's at a hotel, right? So you get to that, when you get to the banquet hall, first you scout out the place. You want to see where the kitchen is, where the beers will be coming from. So you go sit at the table that's closer. You go sit at a table that is closer to the kitchen, where all the supply will be coming from. And if we had money, we would bribe the waiters. So they'll be bringing us more supplies. We used to scheme in this thing. That was my nature. That was my nature. I was a sinner. I was a sinner. I am no longer a sinner. No, I'm not a sinner. I'm a saint.
Yes. Hallelujah, Jesus.
Some denominations believe you have to die to be a saint. No. No. I am a saint. Imagine Paul would write to the Ephesians, he would say to the saints in Ephesus. He would write to the Corinthians, he says to the saints in Corinth. Now, if you look at the church in Corinth, that was the most carnal church in the New Testament. They were drunkards, they were fornicators, they were abusing the gifts. There was a lot of things going on in that church, but Paul still called them saints.
Amen.
Paul still called them saints. He was not waiting for their perfection to call them saints. He was not waiting for them to do certain miracles and for them to die and call them saints. They were saints in their imperfection. You are saints. Saint Brian is preaching this afternoon. I don't have to wait to die. Saint Brian is preaching this afternoon.
Praise God. Yes, we are in the name of Jesus. Praise God.
So they're sinning in unbelievers. Then they're sinning in believers. So I say, we sin, but we are not bent to sin.
Yes. Amen.
That's why we say we stumble.
Yeah.
It is not the makeup of our thinking. I hope not. It is not the makeup of a saint you don't wake up thinking, man, where am I going to fornicate this morning?
Right.
Where am I going to drink this morning? What am I going to smoke this morning? You're thinking, what time am I going to pray? So this morning, first let me clean out the house, then I'll read my Bible. Or first let me read my Bible, then I'll clean the house. That's the thinking of a saint, of a righteous man. Right? That's the thing of the righteous man.
Yes. I know.
So a righteous man, yes, will mess up. But that's not his nature.
Yes.
That's not our nature anymore. The Bible said the righteous man may fall 7 times.
Yes.
He gets back up. Yes, Lord.
You might fall 7 times.
Yes.
So yes, you might fall 7 times.
Yes.
You might even fall more than 7 times.
Yes.
But the Lord will still
Amen.
help you get back up.
Yes.
See, it is not that we make, the problem is not that we make mistakes. The mistake is failing to repent and becoming righteous before God. That's a mistake. Sometimes people do things and they think, man, God cannot forgive me. There is no sin that cannot be under the blood of Jesus Christ. There is no sin that cannot be under the blood of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
If you're just willing to repent and walk away from the condemnation and the shame that comes with it.
Yes.
Any person can be restored from where you are fallen. Anyone can be restored from where you are fallen.
Thank you. Yes.
As long as you can repent,
Yes.
as long as you can get back on track, God will still receive you. Man might walk away from you, but God will receive you. Man might still talk about you, but God will still receive you. Man will write on Twitter about you, but God will still receive you. So when you are confessing, you're confessing to God. Not to brother so-and-so, sister so-and-so. You're confessing to God. And when God restores you, walk out of your prayer closet with your head up. You walk out of that place with your head up. no longer entrap you.
Yes.
Now people sin in words, in thought, in motives, intentions,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
and in attitudes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, we do.
In attitudes.
Yeah.
I wanted to read something and see if it's the right scripture. So, as Christians, in Ephesians chapter 2 it says, and you were dead in your trespasses and sin. You were dead. You were dead.
Yes, I was.
You were dead. Past tense. You were dead in your trespasses and sin,
Yes, I was.
in which you formerly walked.
Totally. Yes.
Then it says, according to the course of this world, according to the prince of the power of the air, of the spirit that is now working in the sons of disobedience. You are no longer a child of disobedience. You are no longer a child of disobedience. Even when you mess up, you're no longer a child of disobedience.
Amen.
Let's go to Romans chapter 6.
Big change.
And I think we'll come back here. I don't know.
Big.
Yeah.
Romans chapter 6.
Thank you, Holy Spirit.
Yes.
I marked it. I missed. I lost the marking.
Big boy. This is good.
Yes.
Rich.
Yes.
Big boy stuff.
So now we are Christians, right? So
Yeah.
Paul is saying, verse 1, what shall we say then? Are we to continue in sin
No.
that grace might increase? Oh no.
No, that's not how it increases.
May it never be. How shall we, who died to sin, still live in it? How shall we, who died to sin, still live in it?
Don't want
How shall we, who died to sin, still live in it?
Yes.
Now let me also say that sin has personhood. Sin has personhood.
Yes.
In a sense that sin controls people.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Sin controls people. God told Cain, sin is at the door. Sin is crouching at the door.
Yes.
It's waiting. Sin is crouching at the door. It is waiting.
Yes.
Then it tells him to master it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Sin is at the door.
That's how it is.
That's true.
Yes.
It says a person can be a servant of sin. Now you can only serve a person.
Yeah.
That's right.
You can only serve a person who gives you instructions. If you're going to serve someone has to give you instruction on how to serve them.
Yes.
Yes.
Sin is a nature. Sin is a nature with personhood that indwells people.
That's
Wow.
true.
Right?
Yes.
It indwells people and give them instructions on what to do.
Yes.
And they obey.
Wow.
They are slaves to sin.
Yes.
You cannot be a slave to anything that has no personhood.
Yes.
The Bible says that sin is also a law. Now if sin is a law, it has someone who enforces the law.
Yes.
There cannot be a law without an enforcer.
Yeah. That's true.
God told the man in John chapter 5, Jesus said, be careful, don't sin again, because something worse might happen to you.
Yes.
Yes.
I was talking about Naaman when I say God will use the neighbors of Israel to afflict Israel. God uses demons to afflict people.
Yes.
Today in the New Testament,
That's right.
demons are agents that God will permit
Yes.
Yeah.
to bring consequences and change circumstances because of sin.
Yes.
Yes.
Sin opens up a legal door.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Sin opens up a legal door. And as long as you do not repent, that thing will stay.
Yes.
That thing will afflict you. So a person who's continually in sin is actually enslaved, he's captured, he's chained,
That's right.
he's imprisoned in sin. A person who's in prison has some movement but cannot go far.
That's true.
They walk around their cell. That's as far as they can go.
Wow.
That's all they can do. But they'll not go anywhere. Sin can do that to you.
Yes.
We've heard this. Most preachers have said this many times. Sin will cost you more than you thought you were going to spend.
Yes.
Sin will keep you out there longer
Yes.
than you thought
Yes.
that you would stay. You will think, let me just do it one time before you know it. Let me just go fornicate one time before you know it.
Yeah.
She's pregnant.
Right.
Now you're a Christian, you can't abort.
Right.
So now you have
Yeah.
to live with Ishmael.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
The Bible says sin abounds The Bible also says sin abounds. Sin has reigned. Sin reigns, rules.
Wow.
We are dead to sin. We should no longer serve sin. It's just we're just reading. Let not sin reign over you. Let not sin rule over you.
Yes.
Let not sin reign over you. Because if you let it, it will.
Yes.
Yes.
If you let it, it will.
Yes.
Yes.
So verse 6 says, now knowing this, that our old self was crucified with him, that our body of sin might be done away with, that we should no longer be slaves to sin.
Amen.
We should no longer be slaves to sin. We were slaves to sin.
Oh, yes. Certainly was.
Verse 9, knowing that Christ, having been raised from the dead, is never to die again. Death no longer is master over him.
Yes.
For the death that he died to sin, once for all. But the life that he lives to God.
That's right.
So we live in resurrected power.
Amen.
We live in the realm of resurrection.
Yes.
We are dead to sin.
Yes.
Even so, consider yourselves to be dead to sin, but alive to God in Christ Jesus.
Yes, Lord.
But alive to God in Christ Jesus. Alive to God in Christ Jesus. Where there is life, there is growth. Where there is life, there is growth and there is movement.
Yes.
Where there is death, there is dryness.
Yes. Yes, Jesus.
And when you're dry, you're stationary.
Yes.
Telephone pole anointing.
Yeah.
Been there.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a telephone pole that is in cast iron.
Yeah.
Because cast iron gets cold.
Wow, that's good.
No, not a wooden telephone pole. Cast iron gets cold.
Yes.
Been around there.
Therefore, do not let sin reign.
Don't let it.
There's a song. The Lord reigns, right? The Lord reigns. So, if the Lord is not reigning, you might start singing, the sin reigns. But now you permitted sin to be reigning over your life. Sin reigns. So that's your life. You've permitted it to reign, to rule, to govern. To reign is to govern. Sin can govern you if you're not careful. Even as a Christian, you can allow it. You can permit it.
Yes,
Paul is saying, do not let it.
Right.
The onus is on us.
Yes.
Do not let it. Which means if you let it, it will. Sin has a desire to govern. It has a desire to reign. So do not let it.
Yes.
Amen.
Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body. That you should obey its lusts. That you should obey its lust. And do not go on presenting the members of your body to sin as instruments of unrighteousness. Instruments of unrighteousness. Instruments of unrighteousness.
Yes.
But present yourselves to God as those alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to God.
Amen.
There's a trouble.
Instruments of unrighteousness and instruments of righteousness.
Yes.
The choice. We are given a choice.
Yes.
It is on us to choose what instrument we will be.
Yes.
That's right.
God is looking for a body he can work through. The devil is looking for a body that he can work through.
Yes.
Whichever master we submit to, will work through.
That's true.
True.
The onus is on you, the onus is on me.
Yes, Lord.
So we are not to present our bodies. Sin has a personhood and is looking for a body to manifest through.
Yes. Yes.
Son has personhood and he wants to act out its personhood.
All right.
That's a sin.
Oh, yeah.
Righteousness has personhood, it also wants to act out.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
But we choose
Yes.
which instrument we will be.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Who we choose to be our master.
Yes.
Yes.
So you can't have one foot in the world and one foot in the kingdom of God and thinking things will work out well.
Right.
That won't.
You see, people there's a line here. You know, there's a what you call the state line, or there's a border. Some places you go to, if you've ever crossed the border on foot, you find there's a big white line. And here they'll say Zambia, and here they'll say Zimbabwe, or whatever the case might be. So you can be in Zambia or in Zimbabwe. It's just a line.
Yeah.
So some people stand like this: the kingdom of God and the kingdom of darkness.
Yeah.
If it looks good in the kingdom of darkness, they are here. In the kingdom of darkness. They're kicking it, they're chilling, they're everything. Then things start going bad. After a while, it gets boring. They kick it, they kick it. Things start going bad. They have not made up their mind. They have not really made up their mind. They don't know where they want to be. You
Right?
see, God is only God for bad times. The devil is only good for good times. When this thing is boring, they're over there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like we heard earlier before service. Yes, Christianity is boring if you're not saved.
Yes.
Church is boring if you're not interested in growing.
Right.
Yes.
That's true.
Church is boring. Church is boring if you have not died to self.
Yes.
Yes. It is. Yeah.
If you have not died to self, church is boring.
Yes.
If you have not died to self, Bible reading is boring.
Yes.
If you have not died to self, scripture reading is boring.
Yes.
Worship music is boring.
Yes.
If you have not died to self.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you went to your radios outside, what are you playing in your cars?
Yes.
You see, so you find people that will come playing Jay-Z. When they get here, they turn it off and they come in church
True. Yes.
because they have not really changed.
Yes.
They have not changed. They play whatever it is. What radio station is that? 103 jams. What 103?
103.3.
Whatever. When I used to work with this guy, he used to play that radio station all the time. Their station is somewhere in Grandview. He used to play that station all the time. And I think I'm impressed because none of you knows it. I think that's a good thing. I was going to get worried if somebody told me what it is. I think it's 103, whatever. But it plays secular music. So people could be coming to church playing secular music. Once they get over here, they just turn down the volume.
Wow.
That's right.
13. And do not go on presenting the members of your body to sin as instruments of unrighteousness, but present yourselves to God as those alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness. For sin shall not be master over you.
Amen.
Sin shall not be master over you.
Yes.
For you are not under law, but under grace.
Amen.
Now, speaking of grace, people think grace is a license to sin. People think just because there's grace, I can do ABC. But grace itself is the empowerment
Yes.
to keep us from sin.
Amen.
It's the empowerment to fight temptation. That's what grace is. So grace is not the license to sin. Grace is not the license to live like a heathen. Grace is not the license to live like a heathen. Grace is the empowerment. It's what empowers us. Grace is what helps us to live the nature of God. It is the grace of God. The inability to live the nature of God, it is by God's grace. That's one thing I never cease to thank God for. Every prayer I pray at home, the first thing I start with is thanking God for His grace and mercy. For His grace and mercy. I always thank God. If it's in the evening, I always thank God I made it through the day because of His grace and mercy. If it's in the morning, I thank God we made it through the night because of His grace and His mercy. So grace, we will not abuse grace as a license of sin. People preaching in the pulpit that grace, you can do anything because God's grace covers it. No, it doesn't work like that.
That's right. No, it's divine empowerment. Supernatural.
For sin shall not be master over you, verse 14. For you are not under law, but under grace.
Amen.
What then? Shall we sin because we are not under law, but under grace? May it never be. May it never be.
May it never be in Jesus' name.
Do you not know that when you present yourselves to someone as slave for obedience, you are slaves of that one whom you obey, either of sin resulting in death, or of obedience resulting in righteousness? What this whole portion of scripture, we are still reading, what this whole portion of scripture is telling us is making choices.
Yeah.
Also, making the right choices. And it only presents two choices. Righteous choice and unrighteous choice. Only two choices. There's no middle ground. There's no man's land.
That's right.
You see, there's no man's land. There's no middle ground. So either you're in the camp of righteousness or you're in the camp of unrighteousness.
Right.
But you choose. You see, God, even when we got saved, God did not force us to get saved.
No.
Yes.
He sent His Spirit to draw us. You know, He sent His Spirit to draw us. Then we have to say yes.
Yes, Holy Spirit. Thank you.
You cannot marry anybody. You put a gun to their head and tell them, marry me and love me.
Right.
They can marry you because you force them, but they will not love you.
Right.
Yeah, true.
They'll serve you out of fear, but they cannot love you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you are using intimidation tactics. God doesn't use intimidation tactics.
Amen.
No,
You know, He will draw you and He will give you choices. You have to choose.
Yes.
Either you render your body as an instrument of righteousness or as an instrument of unrighteousness. Same I was talking about presenting your bodies to unrighteousness on Friday.
Yeah.
What things we did in our heathen days. The devil wants a body he can utilize.
Yes.
He doesn't care whether you're a Christian or not, but he wants a body that he can utilize. He wants a body that he can manifest himself through. He wants a body that he can present his agenda upon the earth. While you're praying, let it be on earth as it is in heaven. Demons are also praying, let it be on earth as it is in hell.
Yeah.
Right?
I was talking to a guy, we had hired some people to help us work from Labor Ready at my job. So we worked on a Wednesday before we came to church. So then I was quite tired that day. We came to church. So on Thursday he came again. So I was telling him, he said, man, my body is aching because of the work we did yesterday. I said, yeah, and I had to go to church last night. I was preaching. You went to church on Wednesday? You were preaching on Wednesday? I thought Wednesday was Bible study. I said, well, as a church, Bible study is preaching, whatever it is you might call it, but we preach on Wednesday.
Yeah.
You go to church, you go preaching on Wednesday, have church service on Wednesday. He says, well, I grew up in church. I grew up in church, but it didn't look same. I grew up in church, and Wednesday was just Bible study. We didn't have service. We only had service on Sunday. I said, well, we have service on Wednesday, we have service on Friday, and we have service on Sunday. Why do you have so many services? What religion is it? I said, it's Christianity. Really? I said, it's Christianity.
Yeah.
So I started talking to him. I was taking him to go buy food at McDonald's. So I started witnessing to him. So he started asking, how do you get born again? How do you get born again?
Alright.
I thought I was baptized. I thought I was baptized and I'm okay. I said, my brother, it doesn't work like that. Just little water won't get you to heaven.
No.
Little water won't clean off your sins.
Right.
So I ministered as much as I could to him. So I started talking to him actually about this thing about using his body as an instrument for sin. Because before we even started talking to him about this thing, they were cussing because there were two people. So they were talking and they're cussing. So I said, gentlemen, I really don't like that language over here. So I told one guy, I think I need to wash your mouth with some soap. He's like, what? I said, I need to wash your mouth with some spiritual soap because you cuss too much. I need to clean your tongue. He just started laughing. But I started telling him the difference. I didn't get to a place where I could lead him to Christ, but I told him what I could. I planted the seed, so to say. So he was talking about using an instrument of unrighteousness. We used to abide to the devil's demands. We were slaves to sin.
Yes, I was.
We didn't even know it. We called it having a good time,
Yeah.
but we were slaves to sin.
Oh, yes, we were.
I was. Oh, man. True. Thank God. Jesus.
Verse 18. But thanks be to God that though you were slaves to sin, you became obedient. From the heart
Yes.
to that form of teaching to which you were committed. From the heart.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
Religion works from the outside in.
Yeah.
Salvation works from the inside out.
Yes. Lord.
Salvation is a heart issue that works from inside out.
Yeah.
Religion works from outside in.
Yeah.
Religion wants to do all these things so that you can be good inside. But it doesn't work.
No.
Yes.
Praise God.
Because there isn't enough work that you're going to do
No.
that will make you righteous.
No.
Really.
And having been freed from sin, you became slave to righteousness.
Yes. Amen.
Having been freed from sin,
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
you became slave to righteousness. I am speaking in human terms because of the weakness of your flesh. For just as you presented your members as slaves to impurity and to lawlessness, resulting in further lawlessness, So now present your members as slaves to righteousness, resulting in sanctification.
Yes.
Resulting in sanctification. From lawlessness to lawlessness.
Yes.
From going low to going low.
Amen.
But now we are in righteousness.
Yes.
We are going from the lower level, we are going higher and higher into things of God. We are going higher and higher into sanctification.
Yes.
Sanctification
Yes.
is a process.
Amen. Yes.
Sanctification is a process which takes longer for some in certain areas.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it's a process that will continue until we are glorified.
Yes, Lord.
For when you were slaves of sin, you were free in regard to righteousness. Therefore, what benefit?
Yeah.
What benefit were you then deriving from the things of which you are now ashamed?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
For the outcome of those things is death.
Yeah.
For the things that you were ashamed. If God had to display some of the things that we did on the screen here,
Wow.
I told my dad when we went in Zambia, I said, Dad, if you knew some of the things I did, you wouldn't believe it's your son doing it.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
I was telling you, if you could see the things I did,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have accepted or agreed that I'm your son because of the grievous things that I did out there. At home, I'm a good boy,
Yeah.
but once I meet my heathen friends with their heathen agendas, I'm a devil.
Yes.
Come back home, I'm a good boy.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right.
Wow.
We did things that are so shameful.
Yes.
Certainly
You know,
did.
how could I have done that? How could I have thought that? How could I have gone there?
Sinners.
You know,
And that's
shameful
right.
things, and people still do them.
Oh, yes.
But they do them and they're not void of shame. Because when they come back, you can see it on their faces.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
scary.
And most of them feel unworthy
Yeah.
Yes.
to receive Christ again, to come back to Christ. They feel unworthy. Oh, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Verse 22. But now having been freed from sin and enslaved to God, you derive your benefit resulting in sanctification and the outcome, eternal life.
Beautiful.
And the outcome, eternal life.
Oh, thank you.
And the outcome, eternal life.
Amen.
We possess
Yes.
eternal life.
Eternal life.
Yes, Jesus.
We shall not possess eternal life when we die.
Amen.
When we said yes to Jesus Christ, we received eternal life. We are beings of eternity.
Oh, yes. Yes.
We are beings of eternity. Eternity in righteousness. Because even those who are disobedience will still live in perpetual torment in eternity. But we live in eternity,
Yes.
in divine eternity of Christ. For the wages of sin is,
Yes. Certainly.
for the wages of sin is,
Yes.
like I said, the minimum wage has always been death, and it's still death. It will always be death. For the wages of sin is death, but the free gift of God is eternal life in Jesus Christ our Lord.
Oh,
In Jesus Christ our Lord.
yes.
In Jesus Christ our Lord. Then back to John. Let me finish off John. John chapter 5. We're in John chapter 5. In John chapter 5 verse 15. Then the man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well.
Yes.
The man went away and told the Jews that it was Jesus who had made him well.
Yes.
We are to open our mouth and testify that it's Jesus who has changed our lives. It is Jesus who has moved us from darkness unto light. We are to tell people without fear that it is Jesus. That it is Jesus who has saved us. It is Jesus that I no longer drink what I used to drink. It's because of Jesus I do not fornicate like I used to fornicate. It's because of Jesus I do not go to places I used to go. It is because of Jesus I do not curse like I used to curse. It is because of Jesus we testify. We tell people it is Jesus. It is because of Jesus. He went away and told them it is Jesus. Now maybe he did not know that the motive was to harm Jesus. Maybe he did not know. Maybe he just went there to testify, just being obedient. In fact, I think of somewhere it says Jesus found him at the temple. Jesus found him at the temple, right? I missed that. Jesus found him at the temple. Just 2 more minutes, Pastor Bill. Jesus found him at the temple. Now, what I'm saying is, if Christ has touched you, if God has worked in your life, you need to find yourself at the church. The man had been sitting at the pool. He had been there for 38 years. On the day he was saved, he was in church.
Yes.
Amen.
Jesus found him in church. Where is Jesus finding us? Jesus found him in church.
Here, wants to be
Yeah.
there.
Jesus found him in church. So
Yeah.
maybe he had a desire to worship. That's why Jesus went to him and left everybody
Yes,
else.
Holy Spirit.
Maybe Jesus knew his heart. He wanted to worship.
Do.
But the
Yeah.
guy
Find
was
your
at church.
Yes.
God touched him and he was at church.
Yes.
We don't make church a part-time activity.
Amen.
We commit to this thing.
Jesus.
Yes.
We commit to this thing. You might not make it every time there's a service, but you're committed.
Yes.
You're committed.
Amen. Amen.
For this reason, the Jews were persecuting Jesus because he was doing those things on the Sabbath.
That reason.
But he answered them, my Father is working until now, and I myself am working.
Amen.
My Father is working until now, and I myself am working. Jesus is still working in us.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
The Bible is a present word. The Bible is not a past tense word. The Bible is a present word.
Yes.
Jesus is still working in us. So the question again to the congregation is, will thou be made whole?
Yes, Lord.
Do you want to be made whole? And the answer is yes.
Yes.
I want to be made whole. So it's not just something that we confess with our mouths, but it's something that we will live. It is a choice that we make. That yes, I want to be made whole. Amen. Then you can stop right there.